Hello, Graham,
Oh, hello, Faith. Good to see you again.
and welcome back, everyone, to Tea at Three. My name is Faith Schmidt, and this is Graham Care. So last week, we had a hard time boiling this down to one word. We'll see what we end up calling this episode. But I think at the end, the sentence that we came up with was finding ways in which we can take a smaller piece of the pizza, like a smaller chunk out of the community pie, in a way that's not negative for us, could be neutral or positive for us, but also positive for the community. And then taking that and using that as a source of joy and fuel and energy in order to continue doing things like that, things that are good for us and good for the world and less consumptive and so on and so forth. So that's what we've been thinking about this week. What we had talked about last week actually hit me like a couple times this week, where there are times when my decision to be vegetarian, or like my decision to like not have paper towels around when I like need to clean up a mess, or it's like it annoys me, and I'm like, it would be so much easier to just not have to work around these things. And I loved the idea of taking that, instead of like being annoyed, like getting joy out of those things, like getting joy out of those decisions in order to bounce back and continue to make more of those decisions. Like, oh, I need to get from here to there and it's only like a mile. I probably shouldn't take my car. I could bike or walk. And instead of that being a barrier of like, okay, well, if I'm going to make myself bike, then I don't really want to bike, so I guess I won't go at all. Instead of that being a barrier, that's like an encouragement. That's something that helps me move through that situation. And like, yeah, I'm biking. Like, this is great. I biked today. And now I feel so much better throughout the day, having turned that like, oh, I'm annoyed that I don't just like can't just like wipe up this mess with a paper towel and then throw it away and be done. I need to like wash this dish towel now and like put it in a place where I remember to wash it, and then bring it back up from the washer and put it back where I can use it again. So yeah, I
I,
really enjoyed having that little like reminder in my head this week.
let's see whether this works for you. Do you remember some weeks ago I told you very personally about when I was a kid and I had my first bike, and I would ride it down the hill through the forest singing, Trina, 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 I will love you always. And I was thinking of that. I didn't have any knee pads. I didn't wear a helmet. I didn't have yeah, any um, riot gear on at all. I was just, I was free. I was balanced. I was at peace. I was having joy. And I thought, that's life. I look back on that, such an important thing. And I had a friend who sent me this card. That is the bicycle and the love that comes from the freedom to be on a bike. So there's a word which is unfortunately linked with a very nasty habit, and that's the word righteousness. And when it's linked badly, it's self-righteous. And both you and I know that those people are impossible. The people who, oh gosh, you know, I do everything right, and I'm just splendid. And we know how less splendid they really are. But righteousness is like, for me, riding a bike. I think we talked that before. No training wheels, nobody hanging on the back, no padding, the wind in your hair, and no noise, virtually just the crank of your feet and the pedal. And such a sense of perfect balance just to stay on two wheels. It's an amazing physical ability that you don't even have to think about. And what you're just telling me is you're making choices during the day that do cross your mind, but they're becoming so habitual that they are becoming your way of life. And it's a way of life that is leading you into a better future.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the balance that I have found in my life, which is leading me into a better future. If not, then you're going to exchange your bike for a a, a nice car that you both can share. And then after a while, that's not going to be good enough. And you can upgrade, 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 until we have joined the world. Because the world keeps on upgrading to its demise, unfortunately. We can't keep on upgrading like this. The rest of the world looks at us and says, that's what they do in the United States, and let's try and do something like they do. And they can't, and they never will. How can you take 1 billion people and give them all 2 cars, or at least 1 car per family?
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't happen. So somehow or other, the whole human race, if it's going to survive, has got to start to say, upgrade doesn't work. What does work is that what I have now, I am going to celebrate and understand and enjoy and embrace as I move forward into the future. That's it. I mean, I don't know how you do that. And I know it's just pie in the sky, but it's a lovely looking pie.
No, okay. So I don't know. I don't know if I just end up thinking of the next thing to bring up. It just ends up being correlated anyway. But I feel like the things that you say in our conversation leading up to me bringing up a point always end up being like so relevant to the thing that I'm about to bring up. Maybe it's just me making connections out of nothing, but
good. That's the way it should be. Yeah.
yeah. So my turn this week to bring something up, and it's we've talked about a lot of things that are relatively fun to talk about. Like it's nice to talk about plants and joy and nature and doing good things for the world. And this is something that I think about a lot, but really don't like talking about, but do want to think about more. And that is, I don't even want to say it. I don't even want to say it out loud. Money.
Okay.
The reason why I want to bring this up is because you have a vastly different experience with money than I do, having been a huge celebrity and come back to now being on a budget again. And I have gotten very good at living with very little of it, but I guess I'm in a point now where I'm trying to figure out what's worth doing in order to get money, and when do I need that, and when is it better for me or worse for me. I am extremely blessed in that, like, if I get down to zero, yes, I have friends and family that I can live with. I don't have anyone else fully supporting me in any way, but I am gotten good at buying cheaper food and not buying things that I don't need. And just my default right now is, oh, can I buy that? No. I just, like, my default is just no. And like maybe someday when I do a little job and get some money from that, then I'll buy that. Let me turn my notes over. but if there's something that I can, like, there are times when I've had jobs with a lot more income and I've been able to help my friends and support my family back and like purchase things from my friends' businesses and go to the dentist and like return the gifts that I've been given. But it's hard for me to justify working for a place that does, like, if I'm going to put so much effort in my own life towards like the good for the environment and the community and so many things like that, like how can I then put like 8 hours a day into a job that doesn't also do that? Which those exist, those definitely exist, and I'm aware that I can try harder to look for those things. but it's not every job by far. And I've had ones before that are just like, I've worked for a company that just wanted you to sign up for a subscription service that was like hundreds of dollars a month, and then they made it difficult for you to cancel the subscription service on purpose. And that was their whole business idea. And I'm like, I don't want to work for a place like that. But when are there times where I need, like, the money is something that is good? And when are the times that the money is something that is bad? And you could tell I'm very uncomfortable talking about this. Okay, so something that I do often is I just want to help people. I have a skill set. I'm a graphic designer and I like helping people. And so oftentimes I'll negotiate with a nonprofit. They'll say, yeah, we'll pay you this much to do this thing, and I'll do the thing, and then I'll never follow up. They'll never follow up. And I don't care, because at least I got to help them, even if I didn't end up getting paid. And I don't, but I was just curious about your, if you had any thoughts on the top of your head, having been in a place where you could buy a big boat, or like had an RV and like we're traveling around the world and things like that. Like, where do you think it's somewhere, something that you can help with, and when is it something that's hurtful? Like when we're upgrading and upgrading.
Yes, yeah. I've lived half my life as in acquisition, believing that there was something new around the corner that I could acquire and it would be mine. And I had no idea that if you hold these things very close to your chest when you acquire them, that they actually grow into your flesh. They become important, because my 71-foot yacht, when I came into a port or into an anchorage in, in the out islands of the Antilles, everyone would go, whoa, look at that boat. And we used to be able to go onto the anchor, drop the anchor by backing our sails, not putting the engine on at all, and then lowering our pennant flags from the mastheads with 2 masts with a ketch. And we played Land of Hope and Glory as a sort of anthem as we did it. And we toasted the flag coming down in silver goblets filled with Dom Perignon champagne. And each of us wore exactly the same outfit each day. We had black, white, blue, a denim, and red, and with the yacht's insignia on our lapel, on our chest as well. That's what I was, my dear. All right, and I loved every moment of it. So I've come from that place. I now have a Leaf, a secondhand Leaf electric car. And I'm very pleased about the fact that I have an electric car, and people say, I see you've got an electric car. Why do you do that? It gives me an opportunity to tell them what I do. Now, I must tell you that between the one life and the other life, I suddenly became interested that there were people in this world who had nothing when I had so much. And it absolutely radicalized my life. I had been paid money for doing things. And so I gave an hour of my time, I got $1 for doing that, all right? But it was $1 that I didn't actually need. It was $1 that I could then look around for something to buy that would celebrate me because I owned it. And then the extraordinary thing happened. I actually began to see that what I was this could be enough for me. And this could be something for someone else. And that someone else might find life at all because it was past. Now, this is Compassion International. And it's people that I worked with for years. And this is a young lady, Feliciana, and she's in Guatemala. And she's holding a stuffed doll as a kind of prop. And she's got her traditional garb on. And she's trying hard to sort of smile. And she doesn't have very much of a hope for life until I come along. And what does it cost me? It costs me half of what I saved when I moved from my house to the place where I am now in my electricity bill. Literally, I was able to pay for her education and food and her safety out of half my electricity bill, which I don't spend anymore. I can't tell you. I have wept in tears of unhappiness, and I've wept in tears of joy. And I really know the difference. And I want to be joyful. I love it that I can be joyful about that. That's the best amount of money I ever spent in my whole life. So yeah, I turned down millions of dollars of people who wanted me to trumpet their product. And I didn't believe in their product, so I didn't do it. Right from day one, I have never gone and done a commercial for a product that I didn't value in some way and pass it on. That's been a moral issue of mine. I don't see that morality nowadays. It's just, it's indiscriminate, and it's all about the immediate. And it's not about the long term that we need to have in our world today. So, and if that makes any sense to you at all, I just think that whenever, oh gosh, forgive me then, please, for mentioning a scripture. I can't even give you the chapter and verse of it, but I do. Make it your ambition to lead a quiet life and work with your hands and do the best you can to earn the respect of people who don't believe as you believe, and be beholden to no man. I think that works. I think that is so cool. So find somebody, but when you negotiate, I think that it may help. And gosh, this is me telling you, golly, it may help for you to think to yourself, if I get X amount for this job, is there amount in that X amount that I could actually spend on another human being somewhere that tugs on my heart? Huh? And then I think it's going to be like you with your plants, which I so loved, you know, your idea of nurturing your plants because, and of making that a time of pondering your friendships. That really affected me very deeply. You know, I showed you the picture of my big whatever umbrella plant.
Umbrella plant, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Well, do you know what it did during the week? It sprouted. I mean, it does this
like
all
there's
of
a
its
new
own.
piece of it?
Yes, but it just it popped out in the middle of the political conferences, and it was saying something. There is something going on which is marvelous and residual, resilient, and it's always going to happen, and it's sustainable because it's got life in it. And I want to be part of that life cycle. I just want so much to be there. And I want that for you more than for myself, because you've got a whole life to live in the future, and it's going to be a better place. It's got to be a better place. I believe that, really. So
We're
good.
working on it.
Yeah. So what do we? How would you describe what we're going to do during this week? Because I want to do more. I don't want to be satisfied with what I'm doing. Apart from getting a piece of sellotape, tape, and joining that dollar bill up again, it's still bad.
Okay, so this week I think we will be pondering when money can be a thing to be sought for good and when it's a thing to be sought for just for selfish reasons, like trying to delineate between like when you're seeking out wealth, like are you seeking it out in order to spread that wealth and help other people, or are you seeking it out in order to buy a bigger boat?
In Canada, I understand they have a tax called the value added tax. So why don't we look for a value added decision that we would make so that everything that comes our way that looks like money, we would consider that part of that money that's come into our hands could be moved into somebody else's hands for the general alleviation of injustice in our world today. So just looking at it, every penny that we have, you know, is a part of that, an abundance which we could share. Just very minor ways. But do you know, it's occurred to me that in the poor peoples that I have met and visited in the world today, and I've been privileged to go to very poor places, there is such peacefulness and joy. There is squalor, there's no doubt. There's a smell of open sewers, no doubt. And there is so much evidence of poverty, no doubt. But at the same time, there's relationships and peace and joy that they have. I remember Trina saying, how can these people be this happy with so little? And I think it's true. You know, they have something there that we,
We've had so much here that we expect everyone to need that much to be happy, when that's just the life that they live and they're happy enough with it.
Yes. Isn't that true?
But if we can help, even better.
Wouldn't that be fun? There is a hope for mankind, my dear. There is. I believe in. And we are resting in your generation to make it happen. Yeah.
We'll do our best.
Don't feel too
no pressure.
Too obliged.
It's fine.
It's okay.
So I think one more little piece from me is that I have a hard time seeking out money because I just want to help people. But perhaps if I'm seeking it out in a way that can help even more people, then I can use my skills for good in that way. So that's what we'll be thinking about this week, ways in which we can use money for good and to spread more joy throughout the world and lives of people around us and those around the world.
Good. And I want to tell you something about your future. A servant is worthy of their hire. Don't you ever give yourselves away when there is funds that can reward you for what you are doing. You're worth it. You charge, and you make sure that you get paid. Sorry. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so that's what we will be thinking about this week. This has been Tea at 3. I'm Faye Schmidt. This is Graham Kerr, and we'll see you next week. And yes, please do remember to leave a comment. I absolutely adore reading them. It fills my heart with joy, joy that I can move forward on into the rest of the world. And leave a like if you enjoyed watching, and please subscribe if you're not already. Thanks. Bye.
Good. And I've had the most splendid week. And
good.
I must tell you, I'm in turmoil at the present moment. And I'll just give you the background for that. And it's really important, I think, because of what we were pondering during the week, and I wanted to make application of it. So I have time available to me in my life nowadays. And so if I take the broad amount of time and try and focus it down to something that has, it's like a flashlight that you know, because of the concave sort of basis of the shield behind the light, it focuses it down to a point and then it goes outwards I'm with that. So I've been trying to focus on a point so that with a view to going outwards the other side, if that makes sense. So I took my time and said, how can I best use my time during this time? Well, it happened to be the 2 weeks when the Democratic Convention and Republican Convention, for the first time ever, I think, were jammed right up close to each other. So I thought it would be fascinating to fast on all kinds of pundits. I haven't listened to a single pundit before the Democratic Convention. I listened to it in PBS so that I didn't have anybody else telling me what they thought. I just submitted myself to thinking and receiving what they said and then what the Republicans are saying, which is part of what I'm still in as we're doing now. And of making an absolute promise to myself that I will not discuss this with anybody. So I'm not going to discuss it with you. And I'm not going to discuss it with my dearest friends because I don't want any other influence than these two bodies of people doing the best they possibly can to present what they think they are for our future. And then I want to take whatever pathway I feel as a result of this fasting experience makes sense. Now, I've only got a featherweight vote, and you have the same weight of vote that I have. And I'm going to have to put it in one of these two nests. And I'm going to then have to say to myself and to everybody else, I'm disinterested from this moment on in politics, leading up to the election and following the election. I do not want to get involved in the present day turmoil that is going on, which I see. And I want to be settled in my own spirit about what I do with my life in this way. And that's what I've chosen to do. And I am truly excited about this, especially the promise I've made that I'm going to be non-political from that moment on. I'll cast my vote, and I'll leave a little time for pondering between Thursday and Monday, which is the 1st of September. But 1st of September, I'm out of it. I'll be steeped up to hearing it, and then I'm out of it. So that's what I've done.
I'm having a hard time imagining not talking to other people about these things.
It's very hard, darling. It's very hard.
I think that too. I've been talking with my family a lot lately, and it's just like I think partially a demographic or like generational thing is that there are so many more people firmly on either side in the generations above me, and whereas like I'm fully surrounded by people that are fairly like-minded. Like there's definitely differences within my friends, but I am encouraged to talk to them because we are like-minded. Not that I would be opposed to talking to someone who wasn't, but it's just because my friends already are. That's just how it is. Yes. So I appreciate though, like it's hard to find a way to remove yourself from that division, and I'm glad that you found a way that works for you.
Well, I'm on my own. You see, I don't have friends. Well, I do have friends, but they all understand that I'm fasting from that as a discussion. And I don't, both you and I know people in the media, and I've been in the media all my life, and I was never referred to at the time as an influencer, but I think that's what people are called now, as influencers. And they have thousands of people who follow their tweets or whatever they do. And because of that, people say, this person leads other people in the way that they think. I don't want to be influenced by them. They're making their individual decision, but the two parties have got huge numbers of people with huge amounts of money and all the experts in the world, and they have about a 2-hour slot in which to convince me. So I'm saying, go on then, Do put your best foot forward. And I'm simply going to discern. Now, you know, and I know that we have opened our brains and received rainfall of people's ideas. That's what we talk about all the time. And I can't deny the fact that I've got a certain amount of understanding in my head. But I've tried really hard during this time to listen carefully to every word that is said and make a decision. Because I tell you what I want. I want people to be balanced when they come out of this. I want them to be peaceful. And I want them to experience joy. I can't tell you how much I want that, because I don't see that now at all. And therefore, I don't see any future for the world itself, as we are the influencer of the world here. And we are so utterly divided ourselves. I don't see any hope unless we can get to balance, peace, and joy. That's it.